Hey players, my name is Zollith. I like to think of myself as an up-and-coming 2B player in the UK, trying to make a name for myself. And welcome to my wall combo video for 2B. Now, main thing I wanted to try and set straight was the fact that apparently 2B doesn't have wall combos, a common joke I often hear regarding 2B play, but I think the reason they're rare is not because that she doesn't have them, but she doesn't have the best starters, I don't think. Or the ones that are somewhat conditional or are behind soul charge. So I'm going to try and order things from like the lowest splats to the highest splats. So I will make a start with her front throw actually. It can be used for ringing out if the angle is specific enough, but it also wall splats, and you can get a poke off of it. Either 2B or 6-6k works. Those are both guaranteed. What's also good to know, and is a very powerful knowledge check, is the fact that you can also tech trap into 3AA, into a follow-up, which usually works, I swear, but that's at least 100, that's around 100 damage if that works. So it's worth going for if your opponent isn't aware. The next move I'm going to go over is 4K. You don't get much of a follow-up off of this either, but it's safe, it tracks very slightly, and quite fast at I-16. It's a pretty good option after a level 2 guard impact as well. So the follow-ups I like to try and go for is 6-6 BK. This almost always works. The tracking can be a bit weird like there, but otherwise it's quite reliable. Except in that case. Thanks for proving me wrong, 2B. This is why a wall combo's bad. What I also like to try and go for, unless the opponent is back turned, is 3 hold K. That puts them in a crouching state and you are +8, and plus that gets you an extra 2 AP if you're trying to go for that, which I recommend players do. The next move I'm going to go over is 4-4K. It's an I-20 tracking high and it splats to her right, and you can usually get I-16 combos off of this, so I'll usually go for 6KB into a small poke. Usually that'll splat, but I was quite far to the right. So what I'll try and do is demonstrate 3 pokes I'll go for. I'll sometimes go for 3B, and that will usually force a block of aerial leap A and B. Your opponent has to block that or take a bit of free damage. That's useful if you want to keep your opponent in the red, because that move does 11% guard damage, and there's nothing they can do about it. The other thing I like to go for is 1B, and that allows you to bully the opponent with AGS, and it's difficult for them to react or counterattack much. The other thing I go for sometimes is 1K, and that just gets me an extra AP, assuming they don't take out of it like that. I thought that was guaranteed, but maybe it's not at certain angles. Right, the next moves I will go to have you can get the same combos off of all 3 of these attacks, but they are 4BK. That has a backsway, so it's good for like dodging short buttons like 2A or 2K, assuming the opponent's not trying to step. It is -12 though, so not entirely safe. The second is 6-6BK, which is fairly standard. It's I-24, so a bit on the slow side, but a fairly good option after a level 3 guard impact. So, and the other, the one I used rarest out of these, is while rising B on a counter hit. You should get the same combos off of that as the other things. So what I like to go for normally is either 6 hold B into standard back turn BK air combos, like so. It does give up the wall, but it's usually a most damaging option. even without the second wall splat. And what I will say about those air combos, it's not just 4K you can use 3B K for slightly more damage. You can also use 2BA to direct them to the right. You can also use 66BA to carry them to the left most of the time. I'm sure that works. I'll test it one more time. Maybe I was a bit slow off the mark. Yeah, that worked. Yeah. And of course, can't forget about her soul attack either. And it's a really good position to try and land a soul charged AGSBB, which is definitely one of the reasons her soul charge is so scary. We will get to soul charge combos later on. The next thing I want to go over is AAAA. Now why this might work is because even though it's not a natural combo, after the first 3 A's, even on block it's positive, so your opponent will probably try to do something like a reversal edge or try to hit the fast button for the slower options, but this will always beat reversal edge or any anticipation into AGS. So the only thing that will beat it is a guard impact, but that will lose to her slower options out of AGS. So what it can do, it can combo into itself, which is handy. And then you can launch with 6BK into whatever. Look at that carry. Isn't it lovely? And another option you can have if you want to bully them with a AGSO key after the second wall splat is 4BB into 6B into 1A. So you can do something like that. Or if you want to focus on AP, then what will normally also work is A's into 9K for a little bit less damage, but if you're trying to build up AP, which again I do recommend because it does give you access to that, which is obviously our best move, then consider it. Next is probably her highest splat, and it's the lethal hit of 4A. It knocks the opponent slightly to the right, and you need 200% meter to use it, so you need like 2 meter. So the combos I like to go for this are sidestepping to the right and pressing K, then doing the A series again, and pretty much the same combos I get off of that launch before, including like the 9K one after the AAs as well. The next one I'm going to go over is 4K. This is quite a frustrating one, even though it's a very high splat because of how inconsistent it is. So to try and alleviate that, I have 2 options for this. I try either 6XBK and go into 6XB6 into AGSKK into a downward poke of my choice, or I will go for sidestep right. And if the opponent doesn't go as far to the right, then what you can do afterwards is hold A and then do a while rising hold K instead. And I choose those because even if this does miss for some reason, then you still have pretty much a 50-50 that will always land even if the opponent stays grounded. So that's my reasoning behind that. Another thing to go for is if you happen to land the counter hit for this, it does cause a splat, and one of the most damaging options is to do hold AGS, A B into back turn B and K combos with the ender of your choice, of course. And that's it for pretty much it for our normal state combos, unless I include this. Rather than going for that sometimes, It does sometimes work, but I have had cases where she just does fly over. The opponent will just fly over and she's waving a big sword and it's not hitting things. So what I'll also do sometimes as well is 2-2 beard K, 4-4 hold K into 6-6 beard K. And it's a bit less damage than the standard combo, but you do get 4 AP off of it. And of course, if you're going for AP, you are sacrificing a little bit of damage, but that's fine because then you'll get to do this, and you can get some massive combos off of this. Not just self-destruct, which does work by the way, and does at least 100 damage. It's a pretty good comeback mechanic if you're not near a wall. As you can see. So what I like to do is similar combos to the AAA series, but what you can also do is do 2-2K. So I'll sidestep right, do 2-2K, spam A's again, do 6BK into end of choice. There is one thing I will go over before I move on to soul charge combos, and that is this. It is a 6BK, it's a tech jumping counter hit launcher. It's -14 on block, so be careful with it. But it does work. It's very good after a guard break because of course it counts as a counter hit launch. So it combos into itself, into hold 6B, into back turn combos of your choice. And into itself again, if you want to keep the wall for whatever reason. Or AGS bullying. So we'll turn that off. You will also get these same combos most of the time off of Angler A and B, which is only -12. So that's something to keep in mind as well if you'll somehow manage to land that. So now I will get into soul charge combos. Now what I'm actually going to start with is 3B. It's not really much of an option in a normal state because that's all you can get off of it. That's reliable. That will sometimes work, but it's not really reliable, and you don't get these combos off of it either. But in soul charge you can get something more rewarding if you're lucky. So with this wall spat with a slight delay, sometimes you can relaunch with that, and sometimes I'll try and get the angle right. You can resplat, go for a series of Bs for a little bit of extra damage. I'll try some other enders as well. It doesn't always work, but it's certainly more rewarding than trying to do it outside of soul charge. The next thing I will go over is the fact that her A spam, it will now spat left because of the bonus hit from pod 42. Something to be mindful of though is sometimes the second set will whiff. So what I found myself doing is just going straight into soul charge 4BB. And you don't even lose that much damage off of it, so... And because I like to go for consistency, I will do that. And of course, after 4BBB you can get the standing reset with 6k into AGS. And it's +14, so that's a true combo, but you can also do something like a throw, and there's only a 4 frame gap from that. So your opponent's really got to watch out for the options there, because there's even less they can do about it. The next move I will go over is B spam, because that also splats. And with a slight delay, you can get relaunches. And then go into 4K, and I like to either do 3 hold K or 6B after that. Much like the wall splat after this. What also works is it does make a counter hit of aerial leap K even stronger, because that's possible. Sometimes you can get the combo, but it can depend on how the opponent is turned around. What also becomes a really strong launcher is Soul Charge Aerial Leap B, because then you can do that. Now that doesn't always work, so I'm not going to necessarily recommend that. But what I would recommend is going into B spam again, and you can do one of two things. You can do 4K B spam, and what happened there, because you can't do the same sort of stun twice in a row, after the first hit of Soul Charge A-B, your opponent is you reset the opponent and they have to block the follow-ups, and that's a perfectly fine position to be in because it's neutral on block. And also guard breaks if you want to get some more damage, even though the scaling is very heavy if it does. What is possible after that is 4K, B spam, Aerial Leap K, and then you can get the 3B, and they're back turned and +8 and crouching, so which is a horrible position for them to be in. So that's a strong option too. Well, also, she also gets access to a very powerful I-16, which is 6BB, and I found the most damaging option is 3AKK into Aerial Leap B, and that's 101 damage, which is really good. So what I will go through as well is alternatives to consider now once she has Soul Charge. So if you do have a high splat for something like this, then you can try going for 4BB into 9K for a big meaty combo that gets you an extra 4 AP at the end. And any short splat like 4K, as I've demonstrated, you do get B spam after that. Of course, delay the AB, the Aerial Leap B after that, so you can usually get the juggle. And what also becomes like her most damaging option after pretty much all of her splats is 6BB into 3AKK, then into Aerial Leap B. So look how much damage this does. Same with this. And then of course, while you're in a Soul Charge and you land this, you can do something like this for about 100 damage. Right, now as far as I know, that's pretty much all I need to share on 2B combos. So take care of yourselves, and I hope this helped anyone who thinks that wall combos don't exist. Yes, you pat the air 2B. Thanks for watching everyone, and glory to mankind.